Welcome back to Scareology, where we don't tell ghost stories, we dissect the ghosts of the mind under the cold light of science. Tonight, I want you to do something for me. Look at the back of your hand. The skin is smooth, unbroken, whole. Now imagine, just imagine, that surface is suddenly broken, not by a cut, but by hundreds of tiny, deep holes stacked on top of each other like a honeycomb oozing fluid. Do you feel your chest tighten? Does your throat gag with an indescribable nausea? And does your scalp start to tingle as if thousands of ants are crawling just beneath your hairline? If the answer is yes, then you are not alone. You are stepping into the realm of Trypophobia, the haunting fear of holes. But here is the question we need to ask tonight. Why? Why would the brain of Homo sapiens, a species that has conquered the moon and the atom, be completely crashed by a dried lotus pod or the bubbles on a pancake? Let's descend into this labyrinth together. The subconscious trick, not fear, but rejection first. Let's reopen the case file. The name Trypophobia ends in phobia, meaning fear. But psychologists at Emory University, USA, have uncovered a truth that is much more subtle. What you are feeling is actually a trick of language. Think about the last time you were startled by a loud noise in the dark. Your heart pounded, your pupils dilated, your muscles tensed. That was your sympathetic nervous system screaming, "Fight or flight." That is fear. But when you look at these holes, the reaction goes in the complete opposite direction. Your heart rate doesn't speed up, it tends to slow down. You don't want to run, you feel nauseous. You want to scratch your own skin. This is the parasympathetic nervous system taking control. The message the brain sends out isn't, "Danger, run." It is, "Disgusting, stay away, don't let it touch you." Why such a sharp distinction? To find the answer, we must take a trip through time. Echoes from the Stone Age, the biological shield. Imagine you are standing in the middle of a primeval forest in the Stone Age. There are no hospitals, no antibiotics. Your enemies aren't just tigers or bears, but things much smaller and much more vicious. In that wild world, what were clusters of small, irregular, bumpy holes usually a sign of? Rotting flesh, nests of parasites, and most terrifying of all, the marks of deadly infectious diseases like smallpox, measles, or skin lesions where maggots were making a home. This is the core of the Disease Avoidance Theory. Your brain, even though it lives in the 21st century, is still running on an ancient operating system. It is programmed to recognize these pitted patterns as a high-level biological threat. When you look at a lotus pod, that primal part of your brain doesn't see an artistic flower. It sees diseased skin. It sees death spreading. And immediately it triggers a sensation of extreme disgust as an automatic defense mechanism, preventing you from touching a source of infection. You aren't cowardly. You just possess an alarm system that is a little too sensitive. And the case file doesn't end there. A study in 2013 opened up another chilling hypothesis. Look at nature's silent assassins, the blue-ringed octopus, the king cobra, the poison dart frog. What do they have in common? High contrast patterns, clusters of spots on their skin. Perhaps your fear is a genetic memory, a warning echoing from your ancestors. Those spots are poisonous, touch them, and you die. When the processor overheats, an algorithmic error. However, not every detective believes the evolution story. At the University of Essex, UK, a group of researchers believes the problem lies in mathematics. Think of your brain as a supercomputer, CPU. When your eyes scan an image with extremely high contrast and dense, repetitive details, like a honeycomb or a sponge, the brain has to consume a massive amount of oxygen and energy to process that data. This phenomenon is called visual stress. Just like when you force an old computer to run heavy graphic software, the brain suffers from thermal overload. And to protect itself from energy depletion, it creates a feeling of discomfort, forcing you to look away immediately. Simply put, it refuses to process that toxic data any further. The curse of empathy. Who falls victim to this syndrome? There is a deeply ironic truth here. If you are someone who constantly shudders at these holes, chances are you are a person with extremely high empathy. Studies suggest that souls who easily vibrate with the pain of others are also more likely to be obsessed with these holes. Why? Because unconsciously, you don't just see the holes on the object. You are placing yourself in them. Your rich imagination makes you feel as if those holes are present on your own body, invading your own skin. That is the price to pay for a sensitive soul. Finally, I want you to remember this before we finish. That feeling of disgust, that shudder, do not view it as a weakness. It is an ancient antivirus software that Mother Nature installed deep within your cortex to keep you safe for millions of years. The next time you get goosebumps from a sponge or a lotus pod, don't be quick to hate yourself. Listen to your body, because in that very moment of shivering, you are hearing the echo of your ancestors from eons past, a whisper cutting through time. Be careful. Survive. You have been listening to Scarecology, but sleep tight, if you can. And be careful when you look up at the sky tonight, because the stars are really just giant holes puncturing the curtain of darkness. See you next time.